Democratic Congressman Ro Khanna of California. Did both of you read this bill? I mean, it was quite lengthy. It was 1,100-ish or so pages, I guess I should note here.
Yes, and what I'd say is there's not one bill I think I've ever voted for that I've agreed 100% with. Every bill either doesn't go far enough or doesn't go far enough or goes too far. So it's not uncommon for members, to not agree with a bill that they voted for.
But what did you make of what Scott Perry was saying tonight in terms of saying, if I had a nickel for every time that this was a complaint, but then he did vote yes on it. It wasn't really someone who was, I mean, they were in the part of the group that was talking to the White House, but they did eventually vote yes on this.
As politics, I think a lot of times you have people that are going to say one thing and do another. I mean, that's literally politics 101. What I'd like to see is I'd like to see people stand up and push back against some of the really terrible things and make sure a final product, whatever comes out, is indeed that big, beautiful bill that we're all waiting for.
How do Democrats see this? I mean, we're watching a lot of them come out and praise Elon Musk today now that he's criticizing it, which is not what we've heard from Democrats over the last 6 months or so.
Well, first of all, good for Marjorie Taylor Greene, because I did actually point out this provision that this bill has a moratorium for 10 years on any state and having any regulation on AI to protect truck drivers' jobs, to protect kids from social media. It was one of the worst provisions. Some of us did talk about it, and I'm glad that she's now speaking about it because it's a horrible provision. We need to get it out. Now, look, Elon Musk, this isn't politics. You've got Jamie Dimon, you've got Ray Dalio saying that this bill is going to add $3.8 trillion to the deficit. I've known Elon for 15 years. He cares about the deficits. He really wanted to lower them because of the bond markets, because of the interest rates. And this does the exact opposite. And they're sounding the alarm. And the bond markets are sounding the alarm. Ray Dalio is saying, be very afraid with the bond markets.
I mean, what are your thoughts on that? And also, actually, what I'm most interested in is Speaker Mike Johnson, and something that is coming out of the White House tonight, too, I should note, saying basically he's just opposed to this because it goes against his business interest with the electric vehicle credits.
I think Elon is spot on. I think in his ability to point out he should always push back against government bureaucracy. And I love the fact that he's willing to do that. And I hope he never changes. I think when we think of the Constitution, we the people, we should all be doing that. Once again, the democracy is the worst form of government other than all the other ones, right? That's what Winston Churchill said. So I think it's important for us to always question, for our political leaders to always question and make sure, once again, that final product that gets delivered is, in fact, the talking points that both sides are doing. At the end of the day, people want more money in their pockets. They want to feel safe. Why was President Trump elected? He was elected because this country was headed down the wrong track. To put the economy back on track. He's doing that to keep people safe. The border is secure. All these things are working.
You say Elon Musk is on point, but do you agree with him that it's a disgusting abomination, as he put it today?
I agree that there is not one vote I've ever taken that I've said, yes, that is a perfect bill.
But those aren't the same things.
No, they aren't. No, they aren't. My job isn't to go and my job is to vote yes or no. I get three options when I put that card on the House floor: yes, no, or maybe. Right? You can't do maybe, so it's either yes or no, and you make the best product you possibly can. I want more people to push and make sure that final product is indeed delivers for everybody.
Let me try to be constructive. I heard the earlier interview with Senator Toomey, and he was saying, oh, we need to extend these tax cuts for the middle class and the working class. How about this? If you extend those tax cuts for the middle class and working class, let's just take them away for the billionaires in my district, for the very wealthy. We'd save over $1 trillion on that deficit. That would be a first step. Look, this isn't politics. You've got people on the right, on the left saying that we cannot support the kind of deficit spending. They're exploding the deficit for tax breaks for the various wealthiest.
Yeah, I mean, and that's the real question is, when does it get to the tipping point? If you keep adding to the deficit, I mean, typically this happens in times of war or severe economic downturn. That's not happening right now. So what happens if you do add to this? And it's not just, the Congressional Budget Office. There are real concerns from people about what this could mean.
Am I in the Twilight Zone? I'm hearing Democrats talk about the deficit. Where was this 4 years ago? Where was this the last 4 years when Biden was burning cash as fast as he could to prevent against COVID? Oh, look, I agree. I think we need to tackle the deficit. I think that's an important issue. We need to go line by line and determine where are our taxpayer dollars going. We also need to grow the economy, and putting more money in our pockets, not in Washington, D.C., should be the priority. And we should question it, just like Elon is doing. Question every line item. What Doge has done, I think, is incredible. And I think it's important for Congress to codify a lot of these cuts.
So
that
why
they've
is the White
identified.
House only sending 9? No one can really explain. I mean, Russ Vogt did try this earlier, but why they're only sending $9 billion? Are you fully prepared to vote on all $175 billion that Doge says it cut if the White House sent it up to the Capitol?
What I want to see is I want to see the Appropriations Committee get back to appropriating. I sit on the Appropriations Committee. We are the original Doge committee. It is our job to literally go line by line and determine, what do you do here? Do you need more money? Because there are programs that are working, right? We shouldn't cut programs, pull the rug out from programs that work. We should add to that. And the programs that don't work should go away. That's why we were elected. That's what we should be debating and discussing. A lot of times the politics gets in the way, but I'd like to see the Appropriations Committee not just go in there and hit yes and say it's a wonderful thing, but actually do the work.
Well, look, I just think we need the facts. We have a deficit right now that's 7% of GDP. This will take the deficit to 8 to 8.5% of GDP in peacetime. We haven't had that. The average deficits for the last 50 years have been 4%, and it's to fund tax breaks for the very, very wealthy. And if you just 83% of the tax breaks are going to the richest folks, the billionaires in my district don't need it. We're $14 trillion. They're going to do AI. They're going to do just fine. Let's get the fiscal house in order. And I hope the Senate is going to make some changes.
I'd say this,
We'll
Kate.
see.
Look, while we're talking
does.
about this, there's fires, there's hurricanes, there's droughts, there's screw worms out in Mexico that are on the way to knock out the beef industry. There are a lot of issues that Congress should be tackling. We're not tackling all the important ones.
I think people might say, then why aren't you doing something else? I mean, you're 2 members of Congress right here.
Yeah, and
You're not tackling the issues that you think are important. Why not?
I think we are doing that. I think in our committees we're doing that. We're bringing it to light on it, and it's important to continue to do that. And like I said, who's talking about screw worms? They are. They will once this parasite hits the United States and you can't get beef. They'll talk about cyber once a cyber intrusion hits, and all of a sudden you can't get gas at the gas line.
Congressman, great to have you both. We love to have people from both sides of the aisle here tonight.